Hi, very good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to share this session on statistics for research. It's really interesting actually, because whenever we are doing our research, this is the heart of the portion we need to work out. We are able to collect the data and we are able to collect the literature, but in which way it need to be processed, what kind of instrument we have to use. So we are all having some sort of confusion in that area. So this webinar is going to enlighten you with a different ideology on how to use different kind of statistical tools for your research. Mainly it concentrates on what kind of basic instrument you should know with regard to research. Why we are saying this is there is a general tendency like if we want to pursue our research, we are having ideology of using the instruments which is already used by everyone without any relevancy for our research. How it happens? Let's have an experiment. We are doing some scientific research, whether whether the particular instrument is going to be worked out for our scientific research or not. But we are ready to use the tool which is already used by others. Is there any relevancy? What kind of variable they are using? What kind of analysis part they are using? Whether it is going to yield a good result for our research, we are not aware about that. But knowingly or unknowingly, we are following the same trend what already the people have done. Is it correct? So this webinar, it's a nice idea and it is going to explore you like what kind of statistical tools can be applied for what kind of research you are doing and in which way it can be applied. There are so many tools are now available for you to represent your data, to analyze. There are so many formulas and calculations are all available for each and every research phenomena. In that context, this webinar is going to enrich you with enormous information with regard to statistics and statistical tools as well as the softwares for doing your research. And with this note, I'll go to the first thing called what are all the statistical tools can be applied. This is first session, which is going to give you an overview about the statistics and the tools and some basic instruments on statistical analysis. So first starting with the statisticals. Statistical analysis is something different from statistics. In which way? A collection of procedure and processes to enable the researcher in an unbiased pursuit of knowledge. And it is an important part of scientific method. How? When you design a study and collect the data, before that you should know this hypothesis. So what is the hypothesis you have stated for your research problem? Based on that, you will collect the data, and the part of collection data alone cannot complete your research. So it need to go to the next extreme, next extent. So that need to be done by analyze the data. When I try to analyze the data, there is a inculcation of analysis part like tools and statistical analysis will come down. So you are going to interpret your result and drawing conclusions by using a scientific way of approach and proper methodology of some statistical tools. So it is going to be applied for your research. In that context, the statistics is very much important when you are working for your research paper. Collection of data and collection of literature. These are things can be done. These are things can be done in a different way. There are so many tools or renowned tools are available for you. But what kind of instruments can be adapted and what is going to be coincided with the particular research area that need to be planned, that need to be checked based on the framed hypothesis and all. So in that way, this going to be giving you some good idea like how you are going to pursue your research by using different statistical analysis. Now, in that point, I just want to give a clarification like you need to design, whenever you plan for your research, that needs a research design and also analysis. So that is a difference between design and analysis. The purpose of data collection is not only to get a data and you're working on it, it is to gain information or knowledge. That data is going to give you a real-time idea how it's going to be and what the result it is going to yield. So that has to be obtained in a proper way, in a proper procedure. So for that, collection of data does not guarantee that information is obtained. It is not sufficient. So what you are supposed to do is that data has to be converted into information. So when it happens, how it happens? Information is not equivalent to data, first of all. Second thing is, at best, when you analyze the data with the proper tool, then only it completes its nature called information. So data analysis is something different. It is not equal to just like research. It is totally a integrated part of every research part. Even that may be like review of literature or collection of tools or interpretation or analysis in a different perspective. And what is the purpose of doing statistical analysis? So this also you should understand. It summarizes large mass of data into understandable and meaningful form. And this is the role of descriptive statistics. So we are having different kind of statistics. First of all, that may be a descriptive statistics or inferential statistics, or it is a summary statistics. But the purpose is the data has to be changed, understandable, or in a meaningful form. And the statistics makes exact descriptions as much as possible. Whenever you are doing any analysis, that gives a clear-cut description in which way it is going to work out like. And statistical analysis facilitate identification of causal factors underlying complex phenomena. This is called as multivariate analysis, in which way the data is getting varied from the common factor as well as the extended factor. And the statistical analysis aids by drawing reliable inferences from the observational data. Normally, when you collect the data, you are able to collect so much of data. We are able to collect so much of data by using several tools. But the data is valid or reliable when it comes to a complete form. It only because of the inferences what you are going to derive with the reliable form and the observational value. So that is called as inferential statistics. As I told you, there are different kinds of statistics we can apply for our research. One is descriptive statistics, another one is inferential statistics. So this is called as inferential statistics. And this analysis also helps in making estimation of or generalization from the result of sample surveys. That's what we call this a pilot study, what we used to collect, whether we can obtain the result or not by using this technology or not. That also you are able to. And this is the overall picture which clearly tells you about the role of statistics in research, what actually this statistics doing in research. And data is converted as information by using visualization of data and analyze with statistical models. There are so many models can be applied. Nowadays, the research, how research happens, people are able to draw so much of conclusions and research findings by using the tools what is already available. But we don't know what kind of tools can be applied for what kind of research. There are so many different kinds of research there, even that may be the pure research or applied research or historical research. So what kind of research needs which kind of tool, that we are not aware. So this session and the forthcoming sessions, which is going to give you some sort of idea like what kind of tools can be applied for any kind of research. That's what we are going to tell you that. And as this picture depicts you clearly, you can visualize your data and analyze with a relevant statistical model, then only it converts into knowledge. That knowledge interprets with the practical and statistical significance of research. Then only people will believe you. How people will have a relevancy with your research. So it should be justified or it should be experimented with the proper statistical tool, proper statistical significance of research is need obtained. That's what happens. Once this knowledge data is converted into knowledge by you applying several statistical analysis, then it comes to an understanding like scientifically the sound decisions can be taken or communicated by using this kind of analysis with the proper concrete reasons. And this understandings now makes into experiments. You can design experiments to answer the research questions which is getting emerged, and also it gives a proper set of limitations where we need to perform, where we need to pull out the data, where we need to check out in which way. So that this is the overall role of statistics in research. We need to observe, we need to know where we need to pull in or where we need to pull out. This is what it gives. And the overall observation is to solve the problems and make creative decisions, we need a proper statistical analysis. Without this, we are not able to retrieve the good solution for the research problem. And and this is the main thing I just want to suggest here. This is the importance of statistics in research. Why we are giving this much importance to research. Statistical methods and analysis are often used to communicate the research finding. So you think about that. How will you communicate the results without any proper, concrete, reliable methods? I cannot tell that A converts to B, B converts to C. How it happens? In which way it happens? What is the approach I have followed? So I need to have a proper, concrete data value for that. That's what. And also to support the hypothesis and give the credibility to research findings and conclusion. And this is another important reason for statistics in research. So what are the hypotheses I have framed? What are the assumptions I have for my research? Whether it is going to obtain or not. So in which way? So I need to fulfill that. For that, I need to do some proper statistical analysis. And to help everyone to understand and describe the phenomena in our world. In this overall world scenario, I want to make them understand very clearly. So I cannot do just like a normal analysis and I can tell them this is where it happened. So we need a proper renowned analysis to make the people to understand and to draw reliable conclusions about those phenomena. For that, we need statistics. And here now I'm going to explain some basic concept while going to talk about statistical analysis and research. These are some basics I just want to touch up here. So there are two kinds of variable normally. One is called qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative or attribute variable, or another one is called as quantitative variable. In that word itself, we are able to derive a very good definition like qualitative. Qualitative represents, it gives more emphasis on quality. Quantitative, which gives more emphasis on quantity. Quality in a different way called gender or religious affiliation. There are some examples I have mentioned here like that. And quantitative here, like what is the bank balance in your account and number of children in your family. It is in numeric. The value is in numeric. That is in non-numeric. So that is the difference between qualitative data variable and quantitative variable. Quality depends on non-numeric. Quantity depends on numeric. So this is the basic difference you should understand. Before pursuing any research, you should know the basic thing, what kind of variable you are using for your research. That we are going to conduct so many statistical analysis based on this variable only. Whether we are able to carry out the particular analysis for this variable or not. You should know the quality of the variable. So type of the variable you should know. Then only you can proceed your research. The variable is that much important. And I can tell you a different way called independent variable or dependent variable. The variable which depends on others, that is called as a dependent variable. For example, age depends on height, depends on age. Okay, and weight depends on age. They are totally a dependent one. So that is called dependent variable. Something called which is not dependent with anyone, that is called independent variable. That's what I have given here. Test mark measured from 0 to 100, that's a dependent variable. But independent variable, it's sometimes called as experimental variable 2 or predictor variable 2. This can be manipulated in an experiment in order to observe the effect on a dependent variable. Sometimes it is called as an outcome variable also. Okay. And level of measurement view, we are able to do that. Clear? That is called variable can be categorized into two different broad category like numeric or categorical. Then in that numeric, we are able to say that continuous or non-continuous or continuous or discrete variable. Categorical value has a broad classification like ordinal value or nominal value. Why to understand this level of measurement? The level of measurement of data dictates the calculations that can be done to summarize and present the data, and to determine the statistical test that should be performed on the data. For that only, we are doing certain level of measurement. Here I have given 4 level of measurement for your basic understanding: nominal data or ordinal level, interval or ratio. Data that is classified into categories and cannot be arranged in any particular order. For example, eye color. Some may be having blue eyes, some may be having black eyes, some may be having brown eyes. So like that, data can be obtained and that can be classified as different eye colored people. But within that, I cannot order anything. So that is called as nominal data. And ordinal data can be arranged in some order, but the difference between data and value cannot be determined. That is called as ordinal data. For example, during the taste test of 4 soft drinks, for example, Melon Yellow was ranked as number 1, Sprite was number 2, 7-Up was number 3. Like in which way? These are all categorized under soft drinks, but which way we are ranking? The value is totally different from the arrangement. And interval is something interesting, like similar to the ordinal level with the data, additional property that makes meaningful amount of differences between data and value, so that it has some more sense. That is called interval, temperature on the Fahrenheit. So the body temperature can be equally informed in degree as well as the Fahrenheit, like the same thing. And ratio, interval level with an inherent zero stating point. The differences and ratios are meaningful for this level is called as measurement. I think this is very clear for you: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. And different kinds of statistical measures. Here you are able to see here, this is what the different kind of statistical measure we use to apply for our research. One is called measures of general tendency, that has different scale like mean, mode, median. Measures of dispersion, ranges, deviation, and standard deviation are comes under measures of dispersion. And correlation, regression, chi-square, factor analysis, all these are comes under measures of association and relation. By that word itself, you are able to clearly understand what it is. And analysis of variation covers ANOVA, that may be one-way ANOVA or two-way ANOVA, multivariate analysis, or analysis of covariance. And the fifth major category is time series analysis. This is seasonal or cyclical or trend and erratic time series analysis. So these are different kinds of statistical measures we are going to apply for this research. So this is what we are going to study in the next sessions by using several tools also. Okay, and descriptive statistics. Earlier I mentioned you there are different kinds of statistics like descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, and summary statistics. So this is what I'm going to give you here as an outline of what is descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics about it organized, summarize, simplify, and presentation of data. Or these are the qualities of the descriptive statistics. And it has 3 types. One is frequency distribution, another one is graphical representation, another one is summary statistics. Here you are able to see here that fall in a particular category, that is called frequency distribution. And if it is mentioned by graphs and tables, that comes under graphical representation. That one is called summarized, that they describe data in just one number, that is called summary statistics. Here you can see here what is summary statistics: measures of central tendency that can be given as typical average score, and measures of variability that can be mentioned as typical average variation. By that word itself, you are able to understand, is there any variation in the data that can be measured by using measures of variability. There are so many analysis, so many instruments are there for you. Measures of central tendency. You want to analyze the mean point or median point of any variable. You can go with measures of central tendency. Measures of tendency normally typical average score. Measures of variability, it covers range, variance, standard deviation, standard error of the mean. Describe data in just 2 numbers. Okay. And now we talk about summary statistics, describing the data in just 2 numbers. That is called measures of standard tendency and measures of variability. The measures of variability covers a different thing called range, variance, standard deviation, as what we have already discussed. And measures of tendency, we can further classify it in a different way called qualitative data or quantitative data. When we talk about quantitative, it comes under mean, mode, median. In terms of qualitative data, we can take as a mode always appropriate, mean never appropriate here. But in quantitative, the modes are most frequently occurring observation. Median is the middle point value that we are very much familiar, and mean is like arithmetic average. And when to use what? So what kind of analysis or what kind of statistics can be used where? This is what I have given. This slide clearly gives you where you need to apply the variability or central tendency. And inferential statistics, nothing but from the overall population, you are taking some samples in that way. So by using that, you can draw inferences about the larger group. You don't need to study the whole group. For example, even 1,000 people are in a group. You don't need to study the whole 1,000 people. You can take some samples and you can group it up and you can study. So that is called inferential statistics. Normally generalized from samples to pops. Hypothesis testing and relationship among the variables can be measured by using this inferential statistics. This allows us to study samples and then make generalization about the population, and this is very crucial part of research too. And scientific research in that these techniques are used to test the hypothesis. Now I will come to the point called hypothesis testing. Any research, the hypothesis testing is very much important to derive a result, proper result, and your statistical analysis, whether the collected data is having any coherence with the hypothesis. That is very much important. So hypothesis testing is very much essential. The purpose of statistical test is to evaluate the null hypothesis at the specified level of significance. There are 2 types of hypotheses there, as you all aware: null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Whether is there any significance between both 2? That is called hypothesis testing. So you can go with some 5 types of inferential statistics. No difference means, or is there any difference means what we are going to do with that. So I'm giving some example here. For example, the first step, there is no significant difference between gender and the preference of soft drinks, like that. And second step is probability that sample means are different enough to reject the null hypothesis. That is the level of probability can be checked in the level of significance, the second step. And third step is you can use some statistical test to derive some calculated value like t-test or z-test or f-test, like that. And by using that, you can obtain a critical value. By using, you are able to tell that this is a significant or non-significant, like. And this is the final step you can go, whether you are going to reject the hypothesis or you are going to accept the hypothesis by using the calculated value, by using different statistical tools you have applied. And that may be 1 or 2 tail tests, like the hypothesis can be directional. For example, the more someone reads this PPT, the more they want to kill its author. And the second thing is, the 2 tail I just going to. The hypothesis can be non-directional. Reading more of this PPT could increase or decrease the reader's desire to kill its author. So this is non-directional. The statistical model that tests a directional hypothesis is called as a one-tail test, whereas one testing a non-directional hypothesis known as 2-tail test, as what I mentioned in the example here. Now, I'm going to do some different types of tests, like parametric test and non-parametric test. First of all, what is non-parametric and what is non-parametric test? To study the descriptive relationship of 2 or more variables, we need to have this parametric test. What are tests we need to do? What are all the analysis part we are supposed to do while you are working with parameter test is Pearson products, Pearson correlation or regression or multi. If you want to know the relationship between two variables, then we have to go to the correlation. And if you want to identify at what extent these variables are having the relationship, then we have to do some regression or t-test and f-test, and all we are supposed to do. That is called parametric test. And non-parametric test in the similar way, to study the relationship of two or more variables, then I have to do Spearman correlation and analysis of variance, and any differences between two or more variables, then I have to check with median test for small test and chi-square test for samples also. And this is valid reasons why I have to do parametric and non-parametric test. This is the characteristic of parametric test normally. Parametric tests are restricted to data that show a normal distribution and that are independent of one another, and the same continuous scale of measurement like internal or ratio data can be taken out. For non-parametric tests, it is not normally distributed. That are all dependent or conditioned on one another. In general, they don't have any continuous scale of measurement like nominal or ordinal. And parametric test procedure involves a certain thing called involved population parameter, example population mean, records interval scale or ratio scale. For parametric, if I want to perform parametric test, then I have these are the procedure I have to go through it. Whole numbers or fractions and have stringent assumptions. These are all the parametric test procedures. Like t-test, it requires interval or ratio level scores used to compare two mean score. And types of t-test, you can do some different kind of t-test like independent group and for dependent group. For both, you can do this t-test. Independent group, they compares two mean score or two independent sample can be compared and tested. For independent group, correlated pair t-test can be performed. It compares two mean scores from a related measures or matched pairs of design. And most common situation is for comparison with t-test and post-test. Before doing any inferences, we will do we want to know the impact of two groups. So we will do the particular two groups can be done with post-study as well as the pre-study. And ANOVA, the analysis of variance is known as ANOVA, the commonly used family of statistical tests that may be considered as a logical and extension of t-test. Records interval or ratio level scores used for comparing more than two mean scores. Pearson correlation coefficient, interval or ratio data measures the linear relationship between two variables. For that, we need to go with Pearson correlation coefficient. And non-parametric, for performing the non-parametric test procedure, it should not involve population parameters, and the data can be measured in any scale like ratio, interval, or ordinal or nominal. This is the examples I have mentioned here. And when we are doing chi-square tests, a non-parametric test used to nominally scaled data, which are common with survey research, then used to test if there is a significant relationship or association between two nominally scaled variables, then I will go for this chi-square. Two-way chi-square, contingency table chi-square. In this test, we are comparing two or more patterns of frequencies if or they are independent from each other. So this is the way we use to perform this chi-square test. And Mann-Whitney-Wilcoxon test. This is the non-parametric test once again for determining whether there is a difference between two populations. And this test does not require interval data or the assumption that both populations are normally distributed. And the only requirement is the measurement scale for the data is at least ordinal data, not a nominal data. And Wilcoxon rank testers perform test probability distributions of two related populations and correspond to t-test for dependent means and assumptions that can be done like random sample for both population and continuous. Then Kruskal-Wallis H-test is normally performed to test the equality of more than one or more than two populations probability distribution and corresponds to ANOVA more than two means. So with this note, so you are able to perform different kinds of statistical analysis by using so many different statistical analysis tools are available. As like in this session, in the forthcoming session, you are going to learn about SPSS, And there are so many free open source tools also available like SPSS and all. There are so many free tools are also available in statistical packages. So now in the forthcoming session is about to learn SPSS statistical package for social sciences. The basic analysis what I have mentioned here, all these can be performed by using open SPSS. So you can explore a lot by using this SPSS with a different kind of statistical data, whether it may be the descriptive statistical data or inferential data that you are going to perform. So try to explore as much as possible to with a different kind of analysis by using SPSS. All the best. Thank you.